Hey, it's CANDIA RAQUEL, founder of Centro de Poder. Welcome to the Sensual Sessions podcast, the place to be to sense your fire so you can share your flame. And today we have a very special guest. This is Máire Ni G, and she is the founder of Feminine Sexual Alchemy. She has over 20 years of mind-body connection research experience. She's also a Universal Tao Instructor. She studied directly with Mantak Chia, the one and only, for over 3,000 hours. She has a health science degree in occupational therapy. She has a post-degree diploma in bereavement and loss. She also studied trauma and polyvagal theory, that is the research on safety and trust, and she learned directly with the developers of the theory. And she's also a digital nomad. She's been in Bali, Malta, and Mallorca lately, and she likes to eat grapes and dance tango, but not at the same time. So welcome, Máire. It's a pleasure.
Okay, thanks, CANDIA. Thank you to have me here. It's a pleasure to chat with you.
Yeah, so tell us, what is Tao and why it is important? Because I'm gonna ask you later on about women's sexual energy.
Okay, so Tao is so Tao is really it's a kind of a way of being. It's a philosophy, but it's also very much about practice. It's the art of health and longevity and transformation. And Tao itself translates as the way, or the way of not forcing, the way of nature. And so it's a very beautiful practice from ancient China. It originates, the practices that I've learned and that I teach have originated from about 4,000 years ago. And they're still even more applicable than ever in our modern day of living, so they can be really beneficial. What I love about Taoism is that it impacts on so many levels. So you can really work in it on the physical level through Qigong or Tai Chi or Daoyin, which is a little bit like a Taoist yoga. Then there's also this branch which works on the emotional level. So we have meditations that help to balance the emotions and to create more good feeling, good virtue in the body. And then there's also energetic practices where you really learn how to conserve and master your chi, your life force. There's also the branch of sexual energy or sexual alchemy, where you're learning to harness and cultivate this really powerful source of energy that you have within you. And there's many other branches, like there's healing in terms of like cosmic healing, or Qi Tsang is a Taoist abdominal massage. And of course, many people will have heard of like feng shui as well, or there's also 5 elements cooking. So there's many branches. There's also martial arts as well. There's just many branches within Taoism. And so for me, it's a very complete picture. And there's so much to study and learn. I'm an eternal student. And so, there's just so much to learn about the body, about how we operate, about our energy as well. And for me, it's what I noticed within a very short space of time was that I was noticing very significant shifts in my energy, in my emotions, in my vitality as well. So
I love this perspective of tapping into your own energetic powerhouse to fuel your life. So what is the main reason we are so energetically depleted in our modern society, especially as women? What have you seen in your practice, especially in occupational therapy, that affect us the most as women?
Okay, so mostly, when I'm working with women and when I'm teaching women, mostly what I'm seeing is that the biggest depletion is actually stress and our emotions. So what happens is that the emotions, they really deplete the vital organs. And there's different emotions associated with different organs. So, for example, grief is held in the lungs, fear and trauma is held in the kidneys. And so we're constantly getting depleted, mostly through emotion. And that's actually like the biggest conflict in the world is the inner conflict within us. And that has such a far-reaching impact on, first of all, ourselves, how we feel, also how we progress in the world, because the more negative emotions and stress that's on us, the more difficult it is to be aligned with our higher self. And also it impacts in our relationships as well, so whether it's with a partner or, family or friends or colleagues. And so the stress is probably the biggest thing that impacts on our depletion as well. Plus maybe a little bit of a kind of a worldwide addiction to coffee as well, which kind of numbs us to understand actually how much energy we have.
Yeah.
See your coffee cup there. It kind of we have no gauge when we're on this false kind of caffeine energy. We really have no gauge as to how much energy we have. We're not listening to our body then if we actually need to rest, if we've spent enough energy for that day, and then we just need to rest. We just drink coffee, we plow on. So what's happening with a lot of people is that they're really depleting then their sources of qi. So yeah, there's many reasons, I guess, that it impacts. Yeah.
Bam. Tremendous what you say about caffeine. Yes, we live in a society where it's culturally accepted and even a norm to expect ourselves to perform. And if we are not on our edge of the best performance, it's okay to neglect and push yourself into getting there. Well, in actuality, it's gonna deplete your saved energy resources. And I am a victim of caffeine, but also of binge watching Netflix and eating the third, fourth, fifth slice of pizza. And I have a feeling that we run away from the nakedness of our experience, and it's hard to accept that we are in the need of rest or in the need of tuning in to what's going on in the body. Like you said, like grief is experienced in the lungs, and fear gets like embodied in the kidneys. So what is the solution that Tao offers? Like, because you mentioned massage and different practices, imaginary, but as far as we know, in our world of on this side of the planet, we only use medication to fix ourselves. Well, a little bit exercise and yoga and CrossFit and running increases the problem. So how come something that is not like ingested medicine can have these results of tapping into the emotions and working into the areas of the body where those emotions reflects? Like, how does Tao works?
Okay, so one of the first things to do is to really look at the physical body. So most of the practices that I teach are working with women in terms of their sexual energy. But of course, we always start to work with the physical body because, well, the physical body is the home of your spirit as well. And it's really important to be really in our bodies. So that's the first step. And really what you can do is through Qigong, which is a practice. Qi means energy and Gong means work. So it's like an energy work practice. And you learn to unblock maybe any energy roots that are in the body so that your energy can flow more freely. So that way you can access the energy that's already in your body. And then you also learn to store energy and to conserve your energy as well. And that's one of the first things when it comes to having more energy. or to, when it comes to kind of energy mastery, a lot of people want more energy. They're trying to acquire more energy, but actually the first thing to do is to conserve your chi. And we forget about this.
Yeah.
And this is a typical example in how we work, is we just keep going. We'll drink coffee and then we just keep going and keep going and keep going and constantly depleting our reserves. So when you start to learn Qigong, you become a little bit more aware of your body. You become more aware of your energy. You can sense energy in your body. And you start to respect that. It becomes a dialogue. It becomes a relationship. If you're tired, as much as possible, you can try and rest or try and go to bed earlier. Or there's sometimes, if you're in your working day, if you're lucky enough to work for yourself, you can just maybe call it a day. So things like that. You just start to understand your energy a little bit more. And then from there, then the next step is to work on the emotions and learning to, release emotions, these negative emotions that, number one, are really draining your life force from your organs. And also kind of a little bit wreaking havoc, like they can cause a lot of disruption to how good you feel in yourself. And so bringing those into balance is really important. And then in terms of working with your sexual energy, it's even more important because your sexual energy is neutral in nature, but it has a magnifying effect. So if we're feeling very like angry or very anxious, and you start to work with sexual energy, you're just going to enhance those negative emotions. So feel more angry or more anxious. And so what you want to do is really bring the emotions back into balance, and also cultivate these more positive virtues. So we talked about in the lungs, we hold grief, but in there we also hold courage and integrity. In the kidneys is where we store wisdom, peace, calm, gentleness, things like that. And so we want to cultivate those good emotions so that when it comes to working with sexual energy, we're really just enhancing those good virtues. And this is where we start to develop into more blissful states as well. So this is kind of the alchemy of it, actually, is when you start to work with the sexual chi.
Love this concept of the alchemy, and starting by keeping your energy, keeping your chi. Like, first fix the well instead of trying to dip into the spring.
Exactly.
Like, first learn to manage what you've already got, and then connect with your emotions, and then to the sexual energy, that it surprises me to know that it's neutral, nature, but it has an amplifying effect. So if you haven't fixed your dwell, it's like having a magnifying, like pouring a full lake there, and it's gonna leak everywhere into known places, and maybe even patterns. So this is a great reframe also from our habitual societal mindset of more is more and more and more, to a view of appreciation to what you already have, and holding it, like embracing it, taking care of it, tending, nurturing, and then going maybe for more energy. So about feminine, is there a difference between feminine sexual energy and masculine sexual energy, or it's the same energy?
Sure. Well, much of it is similar, but it can behave in a slightly different way. So we're going to get a little technical now, but just in terms of, like, for example, the temperatures of it will change. So, for example, for a woman, if we're talking about, so when we talk about sexual energy, an important thing to remember as well is that we are not just talking about arousal energy. So when people hear sexual energy, they automatically think of sex or arousal or orgasmic energy. And of course, it's absolutely that. But we're also talking about non-arousal energy. So this sexual energy in Taoism is called Jing, and it's life essence, and it's stored in the sexual organs, also in the kidneys as well. So the kidneys will regulate your sexual chi. And so with this kind of energy, so when we talk about non-arousal energy, so for women, this is a warm temperature, this non-arousal energy. And for men, it's cold energy. And then the opposite is true. So when it becomes this aroused energy, for women, the energy is maybe a cooler temperature, and for men, it's warm. So there's this kind of balance all the time going on. And that's kind of important as well to understand that.
Fantastic. I finally have a theoretical reference for something that I've observed and have been trying to share here at the Essential Sessions podcast, that it's not the same sensuality than sexuality, though they are connected and they can be together, in the sense that the approach is more towards pleasure in general, not only sexuality. And it's like, it's pleasurable, like it's sensual to enjoy the touch of the soft screen of your phone, or enjoy a breath of fresh air, or I don't know, a fragrance, movement, etc. And this connection to pleasure gets you in your flesh, and it's the baseline to have a satisfying sexual experience. Because if you are in the situation, in the act, and you're like thinking on your spreadsheet and your IRS bank report, etc., forget about it. It's not going to happen. And I feel that a great problem that we face, not only women, but people in general, with intimacy and sexuality, is that we live disconnected from the experience of our flesh and pleasure on our day-to-day lives. And it's so important to tap in what you say is the non-arousal sexual energy. So could you share a little bit more about these two aspects of, you have like a warm non-arousal sexual energy, and when it turns sexual, it becomes cold when you're women, and men's the other way around. And like, how can you dance with that?
Okay, so well, we have like a more advanced practice for women. And so the whole point of the feminine sexual alchemy practices is that this jing, or this sexual energy, is really the most powerful energy that you have. So it's, you know, the energy that can create a whole other human being. So it's a really powerful source of energy for us. And so it's, rather than lose this energy, and women lose their jing through menstruation. So when they have their periods each month, also through childbirth as well, or through pregnancy loss. So for example, if there was a miscarriage, you'll also lose some jing in this case as well. And so the whole practice is to kind of recycle this energy, so not to lose it, so that you can then bring that energy from your lower centers, from the lower part of the body, and then use that to power up your organs, to send more vitality into the organs, to power up your brain, have more creative power in the brain, and then up to the higher centers, in terms of, this is really more the spiritual path, if you choose to use it like that. And so when we work with non-arousal energy, this is a practice that's done, and it's a very ancient practice. It's called ovarian kung fu, or ovarian breathing. So it's a little, and so women can actually learn how to sense the energy that's stored in your ovaries, and to redistribute that through your body, to heal, to strengthen, like I said, the organs, the glands, your brain, up to the higher centers and down again, and also to store that energy. So you're learning how to recycle that energy, not just recycle it, but also transform it into a higher grade of energy. And so this is really healing practice for women, and gives you a lot of health, actually. And that's one of the key parts of the Feminine Sexual Alchemy program, is that it's really based around your health. And it's really about your journey through life, through your life cycles, and whether that's from, when you have your periods, if you choose to have maybe a baby, or, so maybe like around fertility or post-birth, and also right through to perimenopause, menopause, and into your elder years as well, that it's possible to have that intimacy, to have a sex life, right into your elder years as well. So it's a real, I call them lifetime practices, because what you learn will serve you no matter what. One of my students said to me, no matter what life throws at you, this can help, So you have this toolkit, all of these resources that can really help you as you go through your life, whether that's your emotional journey, whatever stresses or losses happen, and also your hormonal journey as well. So, and that's really important. And that's one of the biggest benefits, is the health benefits that women get. So, for example, less painful periods, reduction in PMS, or totally gone completely. Like some women within a few weeks can have pain-free periods. And then if you look at menopause, that actually, this can be relatively symptom-free, that's a possibility. And for some women, this is like, what? Like, I haven't even heard of that, that it's even a possibility. But there's many practices that you can do that can really support you. And I think what happens is that it becomes like a real place. You come into a real place of empowerment around your health, where you take responsibility. That's actually your main responsibility, is for you to take responsibility for your health. And then from there, you get the fruits of that, so.
Yeah, then you go into the world. First, your inner powerhouse of feminine sexual energy. And I love to make this connection of the ovarian kung fu and connecting with this powerhouse of energy to nurture your organs and sustain your life, no matter what circumstances throw at you. And it has a logic to many body mind movement disciplines, such as Pilates, that actually calls the pelvis the powerhouse, or yoga, the hara, and in different traditions we talk about the tantien and the lower centers. So this is like tuning in on the mechanics of it, and understanding this feminine sexual energy as as the source that will sustain you. And
it's a real move away from morality. I think that's really important. And I think so many women, no matter where you are in the world, I know you grew up in Mexico, I grew up in Ireland, very Catholic countries. I'm living in Spain at the moment, super Catholic as well. But so many different religions, no matter what, like a lot of them had a kind of a morality attached to sex and sexuality, and it doesn't have to be that way, so to reframe it. And that for me was such a relief, and I think back on my education, and then finally finding Taoism and being like, no, this is good. This is good for you. It's for your health. It's, it powers up your life. And that kind of a reframe is really important, and it's very empowering for women to, to be able to reclaim that as well, to reclaim that educational piece and be like, no, this is good for me,
Yes. Reclaim your femininity and your body anatomy. Like, your body is yours, and pleasure is birthright, and it doesn't belong to society, nor its dictates. So it's super important to, like you say, take responsibility. It's the first
Yeah.
thing. Take responsibility of yourself. Take agency. Become your own authority. Own own your body. Like, it's already yours, and we are very responsible for paying the IRS and going to the supermarket and fixing the car and going to work 9 to 5 or whatever. But we neglect the first thing, that is ourselves. And so important to look at sex, sexuality, feminine sexual energy as part of the whole, and a central aspect of your well-being. Like health comes first, and morality, like, shouldn't have even have a place. But if you, like, are very religious or whatever and need to comply with that, like, in any case, your health should be first. And it's just a matter of anatomy of how energy works. So what are, like, the main changes that you've seen your clients, students live in their lives after practicing this ovarian kung fu and the sexual alchemy?
Yeah, the ovarian kung fu is a little more advanced now, I should say. But what I would say actually is one of the biggest things is really self-care, you know, this kind of radical self-care, and women really changing the relationship with themselves, like really feeling genuine and deep self-love for themselves.
Yes.
And that in itself is so transformative. I worked with one woman, and she was saying for the first time she could look in the mirror and say, "Hey, you're beautiful," you know, about herself.
Yes.
So that's a really beautiful experience for women to really look after themselves. And then, you know, I mean, I see so many things in terms of, like, you know, I talked already about the periods being like pain-free, or big reduction in PMS. And this is even women who have endometriosis, who have fibroids, or would have had like a lot of issues and difficulties with their periods. And then with the menopause, like getting, you know, being relatively symptom-free as they go through that as well. And then, of course, in terms of sex and intimacy, you know, like I've worked with a lot of women who would say they are having the best orgasms of their lives. And some of these women are in their 50s and they're just discovering this aspect. And yeah, so, and just an increase in libido, and that can impact on no matter what age you are, you know, your libido, that if there's stress in your life or if there's trauma, you may find that you've very low libido. And then, so by doing these kind of practices, it really creates space for that sexual energy to rise. And you have such a sensitivity to the energy as well, that a lot of women would experience a big change in terms of intimacy and lovemaking and sex and all of that. So that's, yeah, I mean, that's a great bonus as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's actually what our body is about: well-being, health, and pleasure. And I love what you say about living the different stages of our feminine life, like our periods and menopause, and understanding sex and sexuality as a pleasure for a lifetime that doesn't have to stop. That
Exactly.
it's an expression of your brimming life force. So would you share with us a little practice to get a taste of it?
Sure. I can share with you a little bit a meditation called the Inner Smile. We'll just do a little taster of it. And so if you just come to the edge of a chair and just kind of rock your spine a little bit. And then bring your hands to your heart. And you're just going to smile to your heart. So just soften into your heart. Just soften and relax into your heart and smile to your heart, your physical heart. There's no need to hold any extra tension in your heart. And the tissues of your heart are soft and relaxed as you smile inwardly. Just a gentle smile, the beginnings of a smile, like the Mona Lisa smile. And the cells of your heart are relaxed and healthy. And just breathing in a red light, a soft red light into your heart. And connect with the good feelings of love, joy, happiness, appreciation, and gratitude in your heart. Just feeling, really feel. Think of a time when you could feel love. So you might think of a place or an experience, a person, a puppy, whatever it is that gives you this feeling of love in your heart. And feel the tissues change, soften and relax. Love, joy, happiness, appreciation, and gratitude in your heart. And just think, what are you grateful for right now as you smile to your heart? So kind and loving to your heart. Your beautiful, healthy, happy heart. And from here, with this love inside, then we have the potential to offer this to others, but we have to first cultivate it in ourselves. This love, joy, happiness, appreciation, and gratitude. Yeah. And that's the little inner smile to the heart. And that's just a snippet, actually. That's just the first part. And so if any of your listeners would like to try the full meditation, they can go to my website. And it's www.femininesexualalchemy.com. And you'll see there's a little tab for a free meditation, and you can download that. And it's like a 20-minute meditation. They can try it for themselves, the full meditation.
The full experience. I bet my brain chemistry changed because I feel like peaceful, grateful, optimistic, happy,
Okay.
upright, relaxed, active. Like I feel like a wonderful equanimity. So yeah, this is a delicious taste of the feminine sexual energy in non-arousal mode. Yeah, it's like a great I don't know, like mood to be like you feel flowing. So yeah, sensualist, go get the inner smile meditation practice at www.femininesexualalchemy.com and check what else is there to learn from Moira. It's been such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much, Moira.
Oh, thank you, CANDIA. It's been really nice to chat with you and to share a little bit more. So thank you so much.
My
Yeah.
pleasure. And Sensualist, if you haven't subscribed already, go to centraldepoder.com and get yourself sign up for the Sensual Sessions podcast emails to get these episodes directly on your inbox every week. until next time, remember to take the time to sense your fire so you can share your flame. Thank you.